Craig. I wanted to talk with you today about RTI and getting it in our building. I feel like we don't have the support the teachers need, and I'm taking this grad class, and I have a ton of awesome research I've been reading, and it's just a way of working harder, or working smarter, not harder. And there's a way that we can meet all the learners' needs without living at school. It's so frustrating when we have learners that are struggling. We don't know what to do with them. And there's a way that we can accomplish this. It's called Pyramid of Intervention. It's POI, it's RTI, and it has a 3-tiered process. Tier 1 meaning, in the classroom, research-based instruction, strong curriculum, and then Tier 2 is it's probably less than your classroom. It might be 5 or 6 kids per classroom, and it's really just kind of systematically zeroing in on interventions for that group. And then Tier 3 is more intense, could be eventually special ed, but it's more intense, and you're focusing in on those kids that are really struggling. You're focusing on closing the gap, the achievement gap. What do you think? Do you think this is something we could do?
Well, it's, I have my doubts only based on what we've tried here kind of from a historical perspective. But it sounds like there's a far more systematic approach with this. So maybe you can walk me through more of that.
Okay. So it's been around since, George W. Bush signed it in December of 2004. It has to do with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act. It's kind of a new shift, a safety net for all learners. It provides a focus of learning, a collaborative culture, which I think would help us as a staff, and a focus on results. The mentality of wait until they fail to get them help is no longer, and I think that's can be very valuable in the education of a child. When you're using RTI, you're getting them right when they start struggling, and you're helping them then. And this new POI method gets the kids help they need, and in the past, you just waited till they fail, and that just doesn't sound fair.
Okay. All right, so does this have any social implication on the child?
No, in the past, when we would wait for them to fail, they're struggling in the classroom. Their peers are watching them struggle. It's known they're struggling. And then you may, get them identified and have an IEP for them, and then they would be in special education. Now, that's a process. Could be months. And I think at that time, their peers are watching them struggle. So this way, if they're starting to struggle, you help them initially. And it's not a pull-out program. You're not going to pull them out of the classroom. You're going to be doing it within the classroom. Okay. So I would say the social implications would be much less than in the past.
Okay, and then what's how can we positively spin this for all the staff?
That can be tricky because Mrs. Smith down the hall. She finds every way to not do what anybody wants to be done.
Exactly.
Have done. I think you present it in a positive way, and you get the people that are on board or on the fence. You get the people that are on board initially, and then the people that are on the fence, you pull them over, and eventually everyone will get it. And they'll see how it helps the child and how it helps them as teachers. But the one thing, I read this book, and this is an amazing book. It's The Art of Possibility. And they had a story in here about a family or a couple going to Florida and how they got to Florida and it was raining, and how negative that could be and how frustrating that could be. You've just gone on vacation and, you've come to a rainy spot. It says, however, there is another choice of dealing with this, letting the rain be without fighting it, merely exchanging an and for a but may do the trick. For example, you could say, we are in Florida for the winter vacation, and it's raining. This isn't what we planned. It's very disappointing. And if we wanted rain at this time of year, we would have visited our friends in Seattle. And this is the way things are. Just taking the way things are and not really reacting, but accepting them how they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So.
All right, so we already have about 2 to 3 new initiatives for this year. How do you think we can, how do you envision us starting another one?
Well, personally, from doing this grad work, I have a problem matrix with intervention plan just for literacy accuracy that I could share with everyone. That would be a starting point. Again, we have to put this positive spin on it, and it's a new way of thinking. We have to be honest with ourselves, and it's in the regular education classroom. It's not just special ed teachers. It happens with teachers in general, and it's all of us in on this together. This system works. It uses assessments, our universal assessment we're already doing, well, with ongoing and formative assessments. It assumes an increasing important role in the classroom and in school. The system also should have a supportive team of experts that help it to implement the program with fidelity. It needs to be deployed because our kids matter. And it is a change and a mindset change, but I think it will help us to work smarter and not harder. And I know we've started 2 to 3 new initiatives, but I feel like this initiative could really help us, instead of hinder us.
Okay. And from a cost perspective?
Cost, there's really no extra cost to it. There will be a little bit learning. I think if teams of teachers got together and were more collaborative during a planning time, that would help. I think, working as a team and maybe people choosing what their strengths are and working, if somebody has a strength in literacy, they're working on that. And it could be kind of multi-age teams also. You could have a math team, and RTI includes behavior too. So
it comes down to communication.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, we're strong in communication with our staff, but I think we could improve, and I think this would help us.
Okay.
Our motto this year is all means all, and implementing RTI will help us to turn this school promise for everyone to have success into a reality and not just a slogan. I think, using my problem-solving matrix with my intervention plan could be a really good start.
Okay. So when
Okay.
and how do we present this to the staff?
Well, I was thinking next Tuesday we have a staff meeting.
Okay.
And usually in the beginning of the staff meeting, I know you create an agenda and everything. In the beginning of the staff meeting, we have some talk time. It is a law, so it's not really a choice if we should do it or not. So that's a supportive thing for us. But I think if we present it and we just go bit by bit and try to introduce it and maybe get some teams working on it and giving us some time during our staff meetings that we already have to be there, but, not time that we have to find that we have to stay after school and work on this, but creating that, and then maybe a PD day that's coming up. We could have a half day to work on this together in teams. And I think it could be really positive.
Okay.
So I think we need to start from what is instead of what should be. In order to start from this point, it would provide us and it readies us to the next step, and the skies open up. This is from Xander and Xander, that amazing The Art of Possibilities book that I read. When we talk about this opportunity with the staff, I think we need to make sure that we're not talking in a downward spiral conversation, and that we are engaged in a conversation that speaks of possibilities for the future of our school. This way, teaching provides support to students that are struggling at the point in time. In the book, Pyramid Response to Intervention, it says that the system of interventions is flexible and emphasizes returning these students to their regular instructional program as quickly as possible. Students receive interventions only when needed and for one certain subject in which they need assistance. So this philosophy of instruction does not happen in a pullout, like I mentioned before, situation either. It happens during the regular school day without hiring new staff, because you asked about cost, or without spending more money as a prerequisite for this action to take place. It encourages teachers and administrators to think out of the box. And I think that's why it's so important to present this at a staff meeting when we have us all present. So it has, teachers and administrators to think out of the box so as to provide quality intervention instruction. This professional learning community guarantees that no child is left behind.
Okay, so I like the idea of the next staff meeting. Why don't you build a short, not real lengthy PowerPoint presentation that kind of walks through the high points explanation on this,
Okay.
and then I'd ask that before that meeting, why don't you reach out to some of your cohorts to gain some support, and maybe have them via positive questioning, kind of demonstrate their support for this as the ideas presented next Wednesday.
Okay, sounds great. And I think we should just kind of focus on where do we want to go from here and use that as our kind of leading why question what we're doing. So I will do that. I'll put together the PowerPoint and we'll present it at the staff meeting and go from there.
Fantastic.
Okay.